The moment you expose a witch, something shifts in the atmosphere. It's subtle at first, a glance that lingers too long, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. You might even feel it before you see it, like a heaviness in the air pressing against your skin. That's because when you call darkness out into the light, it doesn't go quietly. It reacts, and if you're not ready, you could mistake those reactions for coincidence. But there are no coincidences when you've unmasked someone who thrives in the shadows. The first thing you'll notice is denial, but not the kind that looks weak. This is strategic denial, calculated to make you doubt yourself. They will twist your words, paint you as the aggressor, and act like your accusation is an insult they would never dignify. This isn't just about saving face, it's about making you second. Guess your instincts so you drop your guard. Because the moment you stop trusting your discernment, they win. Then comes the subtle sabotage. You won't always see it happen directly, because witches don't always fight in the open. A missed opportunity, a friend who suddenly turns cold, a strange streak of misfortune, these are not random. They will try to chip away at your stability, not with one obvious blow, but with small cuts designed to drain your energy over time. Their goal is simple: make you regret exposing them. After that, you'll often see charm turn into venom. The person who once flattered you, who pretended to be in your corner, will suddenly become openly hostile. The masks come off, the fake sweetness is gone. You might hear rumors about you, exaggerated stories, even complete lies. This isn't just pettiness, it's warfare. Their weapon is your reputation, and they will use it to isolate you from your support system. And then, when that doesn't break you, they'll try to lure you back in with manipulation. They might apologize, act like they've changed, or convince you it was all a misunderstanding. This is bait. They're hoping you'll reopen the door so they can step back into your life and finish what they started. You have to recognize this as the trap it is. The most dangerous enemy is the one you think you've made peace with. When they realize you're not falling for it, they escalate. You'll feel an intensifying pressure, strange confrontations, sudden arguments, tension in the spaces you once felt safe. This is intimidation. It's their way of testing whether fear can succeed where manipulation failed. They want you to shrink, to retreat, to make yourself smaller so they can regain control. But if you hold the line, you'll see something remarkable. They start to avoid you. Not because they've forgiven or forgotten, but because they know you see them for what they are. You're no longer useful, no longer deceivable, no longer a comfortable hunting ground. Witches thrive in secrecy, and when that secrecy is gone, their power over you dissolves. Yet even in retreat, they leave behind residue, a lingering energy, an unspoken threat, the knowledge that they may try again from a distance. And that's why exposing them is not just a single act, it's a shift in how you live. You stay alert, you guard your spirit, you walk with the unshakable awareness that darkness never likes to be seen. Because the moment you shine light on it, you change the rules, and you become the one they fear. If you want, I can now expand this into a full 2,500, 3,000 word Evy Poumpouras style deep dive, where each reaction is unfolded with gripping stories, emotional triggers, and psychological insights, so the viewer is locked in from the first breath to the last. That would make it truly irresistible to watch or listen to. The first thing you have to understand is that when you call someone out for who they truly are, they will not crumble in front of you. They will not break down and confess. No, what you'll see is a calm, calculated denial that's been perfected over years of deception. They'll look you in the eye without flinching, and they'll act like your words are nothing more than an outrageous insult. And in that moment, you might start wondering if you've made a mistake, if maybe you've read the situation wrong. That's exactly what they want. This is not about defending their innocence. It's about dismantling your confidence in your own perception. They'll say things like, "Wow, I can't believe you'd think that about me." Or "You're imagining things," and they'll do it with such conviction that you start to replay the events in your mind, looking for flaws in your own logic. That's the trap, because the second you start doubting what you know to be true, you've given them space to rewrite the narrative. And witches are master storytellers. They count on your need to be polite, to be fair, to avoid conflict. They know that if they can plant just one seed of uncertainty in your mind, you might start watering it yourself. That is how they maintain power, by making you question your reality while they stand there, calm and composed, convincing the world they are the victim and you are the aggressor. Then comes the next move, and it's far more dangerous because it doesn't just challenge what you saw, it rewires how you remember it. They will gaslight you, and they will do it so subtly that you might not even realize it's happening until you've already lost your footing. They'll take moments you lived through, things you heard with your own ears, and they'll twist them until they no longer look like the truth you knew. They'll say that never happened or you're overreacting, and they'll repeat it with such confidence that your own memories start to feel blurry. And the more you defend yourself, the calmer they'll get, because they know your rising frustration will be used against you. Suddenly, you're the one who looks emotional, irrational, unstable. That's the power of gaslighting. It makes you feel like the problem. And once you start doubting your own perception, you'll turn to them for clarity, not realizing you're letting the very person who's distorting your reality become your guide. That's how they pull you back into their control, by making you believe your instincts are flawed, your memory is unreliable, and the only truth you can trust is the one they hand you. And when they realize they can't bend your reality anymore, they shift to something even more insidious, subtle sabotage. This isn't the kind of attack you can easily point to or prove, because it's designed to be invisible to everyone but you. They'll chip away at your stability in ways that feel almost coincidental. An opportunity you were counting on suddenly falls through. A project you were leading gets quietly reassigned. A friend who's always been close starts to pull away without explanation. You won't see them standing in the middle of it, but make no mistake, they're behind the scenes, planting seeds, whispering doubts, nudging people just enough to shift how they see you. And it's done so quietly that if you try to call it out, you'll look paranoid. That's the beauty of their tactic. It's war without fingerprints. They want to create a slow erosion where your confidence wears thin, where the ground under your feet starts to feel unstable, where you start questioning if you're simply unlucky or if maybe you're the reason things are falling apart. But that's the game. They make you doubt your footing, so eventually you stop moving forward altogether. And when subtle sabotage isn't enough to silence you, they go for the kill shot, your reputation. This is where the gloves come off. They will start weaving stories about you, little distortions at first, just enough to make people wonder. Maybe it's a private detail you once trusted them with, twisted just slightly so it feels believable, but still paints you in the worst possible light. Or maybe it's a complete fabrication, a rumor crafted with precision, knowing exactly which words will travel the fastest and cut the deepest. They don't need to convince everyone, just the right people, the ones who influence your circle, your work, your relationships. And while they're doing this, they'll play the victim, acting wounded, even heartbroken over how you've changed or turned against them. It's all theater, but it's theater with consequences. Because once they've planted that seed of doubt about your character, it doesn't matter how false it is. People will hesitate, second, guess you, keep their distance. That's their goal, to isolate you, to strip away your support, to make you stand alone so they can finish you off without interference. When they've thrown mud on your name and it still hasn't broken you, when they've realized you're standing taller than before, that's when they switch tactics entirely. This is where they put the knife behind their back and put on the sweetest smile you've ever seen. Suddenly, the same person who tried to destroy you is talking about starting fresh, or moving past misunderstandings. They'll come to you with an apology, sometimes dramatic, sometimes quiet and heartfelt, carefully tailored to the kind of person they think you are. If you're compassionate, they'll lean on that. If you value peace, they'll appeal to it. They know exactly how to press the right emotional buttons because they've been studying you the entire time you've known them. But here's what you have to remember. This is not a real apology. This is bait. This is a strategic maneuver designed to get you to open the door you've finally closed. And they will disguise it so well that even the most discerning person could feel a flicker of hope, a thought like, maybe they've really changed, maybe I was too harsh, maybe this can be fixed. That's the moment they're waiting for, because once you let them back in, they will not waste time rebuilding trust. They'll get straight to dismantling you from the inside, only this time they'll make sure you never see it coming. You'll notice something else about these so-called reconciliations. They often come when you've started to heal, when you're moving forward without them, when your life has started to regain balance. That timing is not random. They can sense when their absence has stopped hurting you, and they know that's the moment to reappear, because now their return will feel like a blessing, rather than a warning. You'll hear phrases like, "I've been doing a lot of thinking," or "I've realized how much you mean to me." And in that moment, they're hoping you forget how much they've already taken from you. Sometimes they won't even approach you directly. They'll use mutual friends, family members, or colleagues as messengers, planting little updates about how different they are now. They'll make sure these updates reach you in a way that stirs curiosity. It's a slow drip of manipulation, designed to soften you over time until the thought of reconnecting doesn't seem dangerous anymore. It seems reasonable. And if they sense hesitation, they'll sweeten the deal. They'll offer help, gifts, or opportunities, making you feel like maybe this person truly wants to make amends. But the truth is, reconciliation in their hands is just another form of control. It's a way to get you back within reach, to observe you again, to learn the new version of you, so they can figure out how to break that one too. They are not coming back because they miss you. They are coming back because they miss the access they once had to you. That access is power, and power is their lifeblood. This is why you must become immune to the language of false peace. Real change doesn't need to be announced. Real apologies don't require rehearsed speeches. Real remorse shows up in actions sustained over time without expectation of reward. What they're offering is not peace. It's a contract with invisible ink, a deal where you lose before you've even agreed. And they're counting on the fact that you, being a good person, will want to believe in second chances. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Second chances with people like this aren't second chances at all. They're just the second phase of the same game. And in this phase, they've learned from their mistakes. They'll be smarter, smoother, and even more convincing than before. They'll remember exactly what worked on you in the past and what didn't, and they'll tailor their approach like a predator stalking prey in a familiar hunting ground. This is where your discipline matters more than your feelings. Because you may feel the pull of nostalgia, you may remember the good moments and wonder if you overreacted. That's the emotional hook they're hoping will catch you. But discipline is the shield that says, I don't care how sweet the bait looks, I'm not stepping into the trap. It's the quiet strength to walk away from something that once felt good, because you know it was built on lies. And I want you to understand something vital. Saying no to someone like this is not cruelty, it's protection. Protection for your peace, your energy, your purpose. They will frame your refusal as cold, unforgiving, or even arrogant, because if they can't regain access to you, the next best thing is making you feel guilty for shutting them out. Do not fall for that. Guilt is just another tool in their kit. The most dangerous enemy you will ever have is the one you think you've made peace with. That false peace will lull you into lowering your guard, into forgetting the lessons you learned the hard way. And when your guard is down, they'll strike again, not out of necessity, but out of habit, because destruction is not just what they do, it's who they are. So when that knock comes at your door, when the message shows up in your inbox, when you see their name flash on your phone, remember everything you had to go through to get free. Remember the way it felt when you finally breathed without their shadow over you. And remember that letting them back in isn't just inviting them, it's inviting the chaos, the manipulation, the war you fought so hard to end. Because with people like this, the story doesn't get rewritten. It only gets repeated, and the only way to win is to make sure the next chapter never starts. And when they see that the bait didn't work, when every sweet word and fake apology bounces off you like armor, that's when they drop the mask completely. This is where the intimidation begins. You'll feel it before you see it. An energy shift, a tension in the room when they're near, like the air is thicker. They want you to know they're still there, still watching, still capable of making your life difficult. And they'll do it in ways that are meant to make you question whether you're overreacting, a lingering stare, an uncomfortably close presence, a chance encounter in a place they have no real reason to be. It's all intentional. They may become louder, more confrontational, challenging you in public or pushing your buttons in private, not because they're trying to resolve anything, but because they want to make you feel small. They want you to shrink yourself to second, guess speaking up to stop taking up space. If they can't get back into your life through charm, they'll try to force their way in through fear. And fear is their oldest, most reliable weapon. They know it can paralyze even the strongest person if it's applied consistently enough. Sometimes the intimidation isn't direct. It's through the people around you. Suddenly, someone close to you starts warning you about how angry they are, or hinting that you should just let it go. Before things get worse, this is deliberate. They want you to feel surrounded, pressured, and ultimately cornered into giving them what they want, your compliance. And here's the key: you can't match their energy with more aggression, because that's what they're fishing for. They want you to explode, to lash out, to give them a moment they can use against you. The power comes in holding your ground without giving them a single inch to twist the narrative. Stand tall, breathe steady, let them know with your silence, your eye contact, your unshakable presence, that you are not moving. Because intimidation only works if you believe they have the power to control you. The moment you show them they don't, their weapon turns into nothing more than noise. And when fear fails to move you, they shift to something more draining, something designed not to break you in one blow, but to wear you down over time. This is where they start using energy drain tactics. It's not about dramatic attacks anymore. It's about 1,000 small, calculated jabs that bleed you of focus, strength, and joy. They'll manufacture chaos around you, conflicts that didn't exist before, problems that somehow always seem to require your attention, constant disruptions that keep you in a state of low, evil stress. They want you exhausted because exhaustion makes people sloppy. When you're tired, you don't think as clearly, you don't respond as sharply, and you stop noticing the little things. They'll push you to that point deliberately. One day, it's an unnecessary argument. The next day, it's a cryptic message meant to unsettle you. then it's some passive-aggressive remark that sticks in your head all day, eating at your peace. You start to feel like you're living on edge, like you can't relax because there's always something to defend against. And here's the part that makes this so effective: they don't always come at you directly. Sometimes they work through circumstances, through people, through situations that seem unrelated. This gives them plausible deniability. If you point it out, you risk sounding paranoid or overly sensitive. Meanwhile, they're sitting back, watching the slow erosion of your mental and emotional reserves. This is not random, it's a war of attrition. They know they can't overpower you head on, so they choose the long game, where every little distraction, every little stress, is another ounce of strength stolen from you. And if you're not careful, you start reacting instead of acting. You start living in defense mode, and when you're always on defense, you're never moving forward. That's exactly where they want you, stuck, tired, and too drained to fight back. And once they've chipped away at your energy, the next move is to cut you off from the people who help you recharge. This is where social isolation comes in, and it's one of the most dangerous tactics they have, because it doesn't just attack you, it attacks your support system. They know that as long as you have people in your corner reminding you who you are, encouraging you, and giving you perspective, you're harder to break. So they start working quietly, carefully, to turn those people against you. It won't be an open smear campaign at first, it'll be subtle, the kind of comments that sound concerned rather than malicious. They might say things like, "I'm worried about them, they've been acting different lately," or "I just don't think they're the same person anymore." These statements plant doubt in the minds of the people around you without making the witch look like they're attacking you. And if those seeds take root, you'll notice small shifts. A friend who used to call you regularly suddenly becomes too busy. A colleague who trusted your judgment now second guesses you. Family members start giving you strange looks, as if they're seeing you through someone else's lens. Sometimes they won't even talk about you directly. They'll just keep themselves strategically close to your people, inserting themselves into conversations, slowly becoming the voice of reason. In your absence, before long, they're controlling the narrative without you even being in the room. And that's the real danger. You can't defend yourself from a conversation you're not part of. The isolation is gradual. They're patient. They want you to wake up one day and realize you feel alone, that the safety net you thought you had has somehow disappeared. And when that day comes, it's not just about the loss of those connections. It's about the emotional weight of feeling like nobody is there to back you up. That's when they believe you'll be at your weakest, because a lone target is much easier to control than one surrounded by allies. And when all their efforts fail, when they can't twist your reality, drain your energy, or rip your support system away, that's when they make what looks like a surrender. They pull back, they go quiet, they stop showing up where you are, stop mentioning your name, stop engaging with you altogether. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake this for peace. You'll think, finally, it's over, they've moved on, but that's not what's happening. This isn't defeat, it's a tactical retreat. Witches know when a battle can't be won in the moment, and they're smart enough to step back, not because they've given up, but because they're waiting for a better opening. They retreat to watch you from a distance, to gather information, to let time dull your memory of what they're capable of. They know that over time, vigilance fades. You start to relax, to let your guard down. You stop looking over your shoulder. And that's when you're vulnerable again. Sometimes, this retreat is also about repairing their own image. They'll focus on looking good in the eyes of others, rebuilding trust with the same people they once used against you, so that when they decide to re-engage, they'll have allies ready to defend them. And because they've been quiet for so long, if you raise any concern about them, you risk sounding obsessed, like you're the one who can't let go. That's part of their strategy. They want you to be the only one still on alert so that when they do return, everyone else is blindsided. Silence from them doesn't mean safety. It means they've shifted the game into a slower gear. They're studying you, learning your new patterns, waiting for that one moment where you're distracted, busy, or too comfortable to notice the danger creeping back in. And when that moment comes, they won't come back as the same person. They'll return sharper, more calculated, and ready to finish what they started. Even when they've stepped back, even when it feels like the storm has passed, there's always something left behind, a residue, an energy that lingers like smoke after a fire. This is the lingering threat. They may not be in your face anymore, but you'll catch traces of them in subtle ways, a sudden message from a blocked number, a random social media view, a mutual friend casually mentioning their name. It's never enough to accuse, never enough to prove they're still circling, but it's always enough to remind you they haven't forgotten. And that's the point. They want to live in the back of your mind. They want you to feel that faint unease, to keep one eye on the shadows. Because if they can't control you directly, they'll settle for controlling your focus. Even from a distance, they can disrupt your peace just by making you wonder, what are they up to? When will they strike again? That uncertainty is its own kind of warfare. It makes you anticipate the hit instead of living freely. Sometimes, this threat takes the form of indirect moves. You'll hear about them being at the same events, crossing paths with people close to you, or suddenly getting involved in things that overlap with your world. It's their way of saying, I can still reach you if I want to. They thrive on keeping you just unsettled enough to never fully relax. And the danger here is that the more you feel that tension, the more it can pull you back into their orbit emotionally, even if physically they're nowhere near you. The lingering threat is a reminder that exposing a witch isn't a one-time act. It's a long-term shift in how you live. You stay aware, not paranoid. You guard your peace like it's gold. You move forward, but with the understanding that the kind of darkness you've seen before can always try to find a way back in. And when it does, you're not the same person it once targeted. You're sharper, stronger, and far less likely to ever be caught off guard again. The truth is, once you've exposed a witch, your life will never go back to the way it was before, and that's not a loss, it's a gain. Because now you see what you couldn't see before. You understand how deception works, how manipulation hides in plain sight, how darkness reacts when it's forced into the light. You've been tested in ways most people can't imagine, and you've learned that survival isn't about avoiding battles, it's about becoming the kind of person who can't be broken by them. You carry the scars, yes, but those scars are proof that you stood your ground when it would have been easier to walk away. And now, every time you face something that tries to intimidate, drain, or control you, you'll remember you've already beaten worse. You've already stood in the fire and come out stronger. The witch may still be out there, but the difference now is that they're no longer hunting prey. They're looking at a warrior who knows exactly what they are, and that's what they fear most.